artists on the island and regionally and nationally. But I spent a lot of time, my wife and I, and daughter do, with a bunch of nut job endurance athletes. So runners and cyclists and triathletes and distance swimmers. So. I didn't initially start off as a teacher, but I grew up around teachers, and I grew up around the rhythm of that life, and I grew up around a set of values that made teaching kind of a natural choice. I mean, my family's a family of public servants, and it's been important to do things for the public good. And so, in fact, I didn't go to school to be a teacher. I went to school to be a biologist. I actually had an opportunity when I was working at the lab in Mukilteo to be this kind of community liaison, and I became the biologist with a bucket, and I went into classrooms with critters, and I went, well, I like doing this. You know, I like the engagement, I like kids, I like being in classrooms. I always liked being a student, so it was kind of a natural fit, so those things fell together, and probably having teacher parents had a lot to do with it too. So something about the rhythm of the life. A guy named Els Hagen was a biology teacher that I had, and he was just a really, really nice, gentle guy who gave you some room to be an idiot teenager. I had a really funny, sharp, witty AP English teacher in high school who was super demanding and got me to write in a way I never had before. I had a horribly disciplined, really awesome chemistry teacher in high school that forced me to be thoughtful and be accurate. And when I got to university, realized that, you know, I had a really good high school chemistry teacher when I was in my university class because I understood what was going on. So I had great high school teachers. There's more wrestling, and it's more interesting. It's more vibrant. I think more creative stuff happens. Watching somebody discover their own abilities anywhere, at any level, in education, you know, is amazing. Because we also know what that's like, because we were students too. So to watch somebody go, wait a minute, I can do this, is a wonderful thing to be around, and, you know, very affirming. I like the fact that they need to be convinced. I think that is what makes it challenging, and that's why I like it. It's frustrating and difficult and sometimes depressing, but it's always exciting. Students, young people want to be convinced that what they're doing is worth doing. I've been teaching long enough now that I'm less likely to feel like I'm turning on lights for specific kids, but I've been around students who have lit up. But to get a ceramic student, to have someone come through and go, you know what I want to do when I leave high school? I want to be a potter, or I want to be a sculptor, or I want to work with this material. That's unusual, and yeah, and of course that has happened. And at the same time, I would not take credit for it. I would go, this kid would have done this in any other classroom. I just happened to be there. So I was there to have this, to create an experience where they went, this is what I was supposed to do. You're talking about a magic wand that would, you know, that you wave around, and people would internalize the idea that public education is good and worthwhile, and we need to support it, and students need to really pay attention to how valuable it is. How did we become so kind of cynical about public education? I don't get it. I don't know when it happened. It never happened to me, but I keep reading about it. And every single day I come in and face students and think, I can't be cynical about this. It's nothing but good. The parent experience in school affects the child's experience in school, and in both ways, which is, my daughter has two parents that think school is really, really important, and we tell her it's really important like that, and you got to do this stuff, and so she does, and so she's fine, and she's not Albert Einstein, but she's a good, hardworking kid, and she is going to learn lots of things as a result because we think it's important, so she thinks it's important. I love getting information about how kids are doing from home, or if there's some crisis happening in the family. I really like it when kids go, you know what, my mom is sick and I've had to do these things, and I go, wow, that's huge, because I know that the 55 minutes that they spend in my classroom every day can sometimes be really inconsequential to the lives that they lead. So I need to know those things so I can make some accommodations for them. I'm surrounded by the most visually experienced generation of all time. So these kids have seen more images than anybody before them in human history. But they're not necessarily visually educated. So they need to become educated. They need to be savvy about the things that they're looking at. And we know that image makers are powerful. I mean, they're powerful in that they can be artists and be expressive and tap into this big, wonderful world of art. But you could take all of that kind of savvy too and you can work for Nike. So there can be things out there that you can do, that you can apply yourself to, that involve visual art education. So you're talking about creativity, and you're talking about non-linear thinking, and you're talking about associative thinking, and you're exercising a part of your brain that you don't necessarily during the rest of your academic day. Super important. I mean, you don't want to become so left-brained that you fall over. So it's about a kind of balance. And of course, when both hemispheres are in balance, you're the smartest person around. I couldn't possibly pick art over science. And if I say art, then I mean music, and I mean dance, and I mean theater. We need all that stuff because it's all interconnected. I mean, the pitch that I always give my classes is that ceramics is the center of it all, because it is. It's the starting place. It's where we began making things for a purpose. It connects 35,000 years of human history. It connects all cultures. It connects the expressiveness of art to our need to engineer and make things of utility. I mean, ceramics is the beating heart of everything that we do, and that's the way I throw it together, because it's a great place to begin sticking all that other stuff too. And with ceramics, you can talk about science, and you can talk about poetry. Clearly, you can talk about history.